All right. We should. Oh man, this is old. Dang, we were at that game. We were at that game. Yeah, there's some bad memories on here actually. What is this? Okay, that's copyright. Man, we're live. We're live. All right, let me test the sound real quick, and then we'll get this thing rolling. I gotta make sure the sound's working because you know what, man? It was weird. I couldn't connect my headphones, so I got a feeling that it's not working good. You know, I got a feeling we're gonna be refreshing here in a second. So let me just make sure. Okay. Okay. Are we live? Okay. I mean, we sound kind of good. Yeah. Okay, okay, we're back, man. We're live, man. We're live. This live stream being brought to you by BetUS. At the top, YouTube 150. That's the code. Top of the description. Get 150% deposit match. First deposit, 125% your next two, up to $2,000. Man, we dropped our short. I dropped my short this morning, so that's out. If y'all want to check that out, if you haven't yet. Actually, I'm more. I don't know. I want to say I'm more like intrigued by the prop a little bit because of the Amon-Ra St. Brown one. Like I feel pretty good about that, but the Jameson Williams one, I'm a little bit disappointed that I didn't jump on that because man, we got a big inactive. We got a big inactive for the 49ers side, and it's great. It sounds like he's having a baby boy, so congratulations. All right, that's awesome. But before we get into any of that, like the full thing, Charvarius Ward is inactive tonight. And that is massive. That is the number one corner for San Fran. He hasn't been great statistically, but he's tough. Not Fred Warner. Charvarius Ward is inactive. And it wasn't an injury-related thing, so it kind of popped up. I didn't expect it. And apparently he's having a kid. But what that means is that likely Isaac Yiadom is going to start, the former Saints cornerback, opposite of Renardo Green. And we've seen that matchup before. It was tricky, but Jameson had some big grabs on Isaac Yiadom. So that changes a lot, man, because I think the secondary is the strength of this team right now. It changes a lot of things. Let me go through the chat, though. Let me see who's in here. All right, who's in here with us? We got Nick. 710 is dab time. Dab time? Okay. Hey, that's a throwback. Yo, what up, Charles? I see you. Dose, put us on your show to promote our hats. That's right, Dunkong, you're doing the hats? Is that the hat in the picture? Dunkong, send me a picture of the hat, man. I got to see what it looks like. Vincent, back for another one. It's good to have you back. What up, Phantom? My man Phantom's in the building. Hey, check it out, man. He's dropping beats. Phantom, I'm going to have to throw your channel somewhere out there, you know, while we're live today, just so people can find it, because fire. All right, fire. And actually, the crazy thing is we got like a soundboard now. I haven't hooked it up yet, but we got like a soundboard. Eventually, it's going to be hooked up. We're going to have like our own like audio cues, like our Cowboys guy. You know how they got deck? Yeah, here we go. We're going to have something like that. I want to have something fire like that. Whether that's me talking or that's the actual like game audio, something. We're going to have some fire ones. Now they're going to have some kind of kneecap one on there. All right, I got a couple ideas already, so if y'all think any like cool sound bites, that would be like hilarious. I definitely want to get the "You're Tripping" from Rad on there. Get some sound bites that we can roll at different times when it, you know, the situation calls for it. Vincent, how you doing? Back for another one, Monday Night Football. Man, and we got primetime next weekend now too, Sunday Night Football for the number one seed in the NFC. Next week, fired up for that. We'll be live. Dan, if you had, I can't read. If you are the Lions head coach tonight, who do you do? Starters all game, no starters? I'll be honest with you. If I was the Lions coach tonight, I wouldn't play anybody. If I was Lions coach, I probably wouldn't play anybody, if I'm being honest. I'd probably come in with my backups. And here's the issue with that. The issue I would say is this. Some of your starters are going to be out there, right? Because you only have so many players that are actually going to be active. You know what I mean? Like there's only so many backups you can actually get to. So like on the offensive line, like we see at the end of games, the Lions can't go to a full second string backup offensive line because they don't have that many guys. They just won't have that many players to do that with. So, and you can't elevate that many players off the practice squad. You can't hold that many players without getting rid of actual starters to do that. So either way, there's going to be starters out there. So like I think about like receiver, for example, like who would be running receiver if you just went full backups? Like you really can't. You'd have to have some starters out there. You could just not throw it to them, I guess. You just run the ball every play, but you'd have some, you know, without Kylie Freeman available. So to an extent, you kind of have to play your guys. But I would say that I would roll in without Goff playing. Goff wouldn't play tonight for me. That being said, though, is Dan Campbell. He's going to do it. I don't expect these guys to sit at all unless they're blowing this team out. And then I expect him to do that and be like, all right, we can get out of here a little bit early. But yeah, I don't think he's gonna. I think he wants to win the football game. I think if we can go win the football game early and the game's over, bam, put the backups in. Outside of that, I think these dudes are gonna stay in the game. But if it was me, I probably would have Goff sitting this game. I would start Hendon Hooker. The offensive line's a tricky one. I'd probably have Decker sit in this game. I'm trying to think defensively. I may have DJ Reader sit. They brought Chris Smith up. He's elevated today. I'd probably sit him, let him and Broderick Martin roll at defensive tackle. Like, I'd have some of those key guys. I don't have an issue with a guy like Terrion playing. I don't have an issue with that. But some of these, Brian Branch wouldn't play for me today. I'd let Mo Norris get some snaps, who's been signed to the active roster. Like, that's kind of how I'd go about it. So that's how I do it. But, we know Dan. He's not going to. He did the same thing last year. He did the exact same thing last year. We played played guys in a game. Now, I guess last year, to their credit, there was like a potential a way to move up. It just like it didn't happen. Like it was unlikely. There was a way to actually move up though to like the 2 seed or whatever. This game, there's nothing we can gain from this, but we can win. And I'm going to have fun with that. So I don't hate it though. I'm going to be honest. Like, okay, I just side rant here. I don't hate it. I don't have a problem with it. Look, it's football, man. Guys get hurt in practice. I mean, how often do we do practice reports and on Wednesday someone pops up and you're like, oh my goodness, how did this guy get hurt? Then he misses the game. And it's like, what? That happens. You know what I mean? So yeah, you have a better chance. When we would do our football games, we would track them. You'd get injuries. I would say on average, you had about 4. You probably had about 4 injuries a game per team. You probably had somewhere in that range. So they happen. Sometimes they don't. Last week was really good for us, but I don't have an issue with it, man. It's the game. It's not a super long season. I don't have a huge issue with it, but if it was me, there's certain guys that I just wouldn't come in with today, but the Lions are, so I'm fired up for it. Jody's in the building. I see you. Are you going to play my full single during the game? Maybe at halftime. You know what I mean? I don't know if I can roll it the whole time, and maybe I can put it as a background beat if I can do that. If I can make it sound good where it's like a background, I'll run that. Yeah, we'll run that. When's the album dropping, though, Phantom? Are we dropping an album? We dropping like, is it like a 6-piece? Like, what are we? Play starters, do we have a good enough lead? Jordy, 42-10. All right, we already dropping those. Rodney, good evening to my Lions fam. I see you, Rodney. How you doing? Jamar Jefferson, TD incoming. Okay, there's a lot of y'all in here, man. I appreciate it. I'm just going to skip down a little bit. Skip it down. I got to go. Let's hit some of the news. Let's hit some of the news, man. I want to hit some of these inactives. And then also talk about matchups to watch. We're going to do that as well. And then I want to hit on the players the Lions brought up for this game. Okay, because there is some really awesome news. If I'm being honest, this is really awesome news. Jalen Reeves-Maybin's going to be up. We'll just start right there. Jalen Reeves-Maybin is going to be up for this game. He's back officially. We actually did just get the inactives 30 minutes ago. So I'm going to throw that on the screen. But yeah, Jalen's set to play in this game, which is awesome. I saw an interesting... Let me get this. I'm sorry. I'm doing too many things at once. So, yeah, Dave Montgomery's out. Okay, expected. Teddy Bridgewater, they're calling the emergency quarterback. That's fun. Happy to see that for Teddy. Let me drop this. Bam. What else we got? We got Giovanni Manu, healthy scratch, KO'd. Same thing. Colby, same thing. The only interesting thing with that is, like, to the point that I just made about, like, certain guys I'd be taking out of the game, there's not a ton of depth that's actually up. Like, if you have Colby and Giovanni Manu and KO'd all inactive, you could go to Mahogany, you could go to Skipper. Outside of that, there wouldn't be a ton of... I don't think you'd even have another offensive lineman. Would you have 7 offensive linemen? Maybe we have 8. Do we have 8 that I'm forgetting about somebody? I think it's only 7. So you're pretty light there. Jonah Williams. So Miles Adams. We're going with Miles Adams again. I rock with that. And then Broderick Martin because Chris Smith was elevated, which I'm happy for Chris Smith, man. Chris Smith got his opportunity again. He played well. Chris Smith can play, right? He's limited, but the dude can play, and he helps us. He makes us better. It's good. It's a good backup. Like, I have no issue. Here's the reality. We had to figure out who that guy was going to be. We had to figure out who that's going to be going into the playoffs. And right now, Chris Smith is pretty consistent as a nose tackle. Plus, he gives us some flexibility. He could kick out a little bit. He can go to defensive tackle. Like, you can kick him out a little bit wider, technique-wise, versus a guy like Broderick, for example. So I don't have an issue with it. They did it for Green Bay. I thought there was some good in there. We saw it recently. I don't have an issue with going back to that. But I will say, yeah, so let's hit on this real quick. So yeah, Jalen Reeves-Maybin is active today. Chris Smith is active, and Jamar Jefferson is active. But Jalen has actually just been taken off of IR. So this is an interesting thing because before we're going live, I saw an article that was put out and it was like key matchup, Jack Campbell. I don't know who wrote it. Shout out to them. It was like Jack Campbell and it was George Kittle. Now, I didn't read the article, so let me just make that clear. But I thought that was an interesting title. Okay, I understand the title, but I read that, and the first thing that hit my mind is like, that's not a matchup that I want to see. Like, I'm just being honest. That is not a matchup I want to see as a Lions fan. Now, if we're talking about, like, tackling in open space, I'm with you. Right? In zone coverage, right? Does he get thrown into the action? Probably. But if we're talking man coverage, not a matchup I want to see. Straight up. Like, I'm not a big fan of that. So, I think Jalen is the guy I want to see in that spot. If the Lions are playing a little bit more man-heavy, I think Jalen probably gets a really strong workload in that case, and he definitely could. And Jalen Reeves maybe would be the perfect guy to get that matchup. He's one of our better matchup pieces at linebacker for coverage. That's where he's at his best. So this is a great spot for him, but it's also a great spot where a team that runs so many different personnel units like San Francisco does, where I'm leaning heavy into safety play, I feel like Branch and Iffy and Kirby are constantly going to be on the field, regardless of kind of what the personnel looks like, because I want a guy like Branch or Iffy matched up on George Kittle. Like, if we're going to play a lot of man, which I think we may, I want that guy matched up on Kittle, not Jack Campbell. Like, that's actually the matchup I want to stay away from. So just throwing that out there. And then also Mo Norris. Mo Norris, I believe, was Mo Norris signed to the 50? I think he was signed to the 53, and he's not on the inactive list, so Mo Norris should be up. I'd even give Mo Norris a look. I wouldn't have an issue with doing that either. Like, hey, give Mo Norris a look in that spot because now he's transitioned to safety from cornerback, from slot corner to safety. I don't want that with Jack Campbell. Okay, that's just not a good matchup. We've seen that before. Let's not mess with that. So it may happen a few times, but it wouldn't be ideal. And I say that to say, like, if they put Debo at running back and you have George Kittle in the game, like, that's one of those spots where it's like, hey, if Jalen ends up taking the back and we end up getting a safety that rolls down on Kittle, I'd prefer that, even if it simplifies the coverage, than Jack Campbell trying to take George Kittle. You know, I would prefer that. Even Jack Campbell taking a running back, we'll see. But if it's Debo in the backfield, I definitely don't want that. So if it's Debo in the backfield, maybe I put a safety. Hey, you're matched up with Debo. And then linebacker-wise, Jalen, you got George Kittle. But Jack, we're not going to do Jack. You'll either blitz or you'll be in zone coverage. Okay, or you'll cover the number 2 tight end, but you will not be covering that guy. Okay, that's what I would try to avoid in this game for sure when it comes to matchups. But that's the inactive. Well, the guys that have been moved up this week, and then we actually have the inactive. So we'll go to those. We hit on a little bit of the Lions one. We'll dive into that more here in a second. Let me go back to the chat here. Who's dropping? More singles coming, dropping soon. I see you. Oh, yeah, that's right. February. Okay. I'm looking forward to it. K's in the building. I see you, K. Broderick Martin inactive again. What does he even do? Hey, not much. He ain't playing right now. Not much. Not much right now. But that's also where we're at in the season. You know what I mean? Like, if you feel like you get better play out of Chris Smith, there's no reason to play Broderick Martin. Play the guy that helps you, because right now it's playoff time. Right now, that ain't the time. And it stinks because I didn't think Broderick was, well, it wasn't great, okay? The first game he had to play was not great against Green Bay, but it wasn't completely awful. There was actually some good in there. It just wasn't incredibly consistent. Chris Smith is more limited, but I think he's more consistent. When he was on the road at Green Bay, I thought he was more consistent. And that guy, you're not, like, the Broderick Martin thing was different because when Broderick played, he played like he was the guy because there was no interior presence. When Chris Smith plays with a guy like DJ Reader being active, he's like a 10 to 20 snap kind of guy. Like, at that point, he's very rotational. So I think it's a completely different ask of the guy as well. I think it changes things. If you have the guy, if you're like, hey, he has to take 40 snaps, and you're like, maybe we'll go with the other guy that is a little more physically built to handle that over and over and over. So I think it changes things. But if you're talking about like a rotational role, yeah, we got to figure out who that is, because Kyle Peckel's not here, neither is Lee McNeil, so that's been up in the air, and maybe that's Chris Smith. And I'm here for it. I got no issue with it. I think Chris Smith has earned that. At least he's earned another look, and it's a chance to do that before Minnesota. Jarek is in the building. Much love, bro. Glad to see you doing good. You as well. I appreciate you being here. Hoping for that Campbell intercept. Oh, you saw the video. Okay, Jarek, watch the video. Jarek, you watched the short, Jarek. I see you. Hey, I appreciate that. Me too, man. Me too. I want to win $100-something. I don't remember how much it was. I want to win that. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about, okay? We exchanged the PlayStation controller today, so it was like 30 extra bucks. I like that 30 extra bucks back. You know what I mean? So we can do that. Jack Campbell goes out there, gets a pick. Hey, he's due for one. That's the truth. Jack Campbell's due for one. But like I said, I kind of wish I would have thrown a little bit on Jameson. You know what I mean? Like, really considered it. But especially now with Charvarius Ward, I would look on BetUS to see what his line is at right now if you haven't. And if you were thinking about betting a prop or something, I would look at his line just to see if it's jumped up. Because if it hasn't jumped up, I believe it was at like 4+ receptions. I jump on it now. I think this would be a great time to do it if it hasn't moved. And speaking of that, let me go. Yeah, right here. Okay, so this was sent to me. I want to show you all this because this is a pretty sweet graphic. I want to show you all this, and then we'll get into some of this matchup stuff. This was okay. Bam. And also, we can look at some clips too, because I want to show some Isaac Yiadom, because I think it's that important that he's going to likely be in and not Charvarius Ward. I think that's a massive inactive. But yeah, they sent me this. Shout to BetUS, man. YouTube 150. That's the code down in the description. Lions versus 49ers. You can see that they're promoting here. They're promoting their player prop builder or their prop builder. It's actually like a spot on their website as a prop builder. And like here, for example, are some of their over-under lines. So I think these are just the standard over-under lines, I believe, by just looking at these. I think Jahmyr Gibbs was at 92.5, which I think last week he was either at 93 or like 96. So it's similar ballpark. I kind of like him actually going under. I think we're going to run the ball well. I think we're going to lean heavily into it, but I think we're going to see more Craig this week. I think we're going to see more Craig and potentially more Vaki or Jefferson. I think we're going to see more backs this week. And then Jared Goff at 246. It's a good secondary, but without Ward, I'd be tempted to jump the over on that one. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, 72.5. I didn't love it, so you can see that I dropped it down. But without Ward again, I still think that matchup even becomes better for him now. So I don't think it's a terrible spot. I don't think it's terrible, but I dropped it a little bit just to play safe there with St. Brown. Because here's the thing with St. It feels like you could always be safe saying he's going to get you 65 yards. If he doesn't get you 65 yards, I don't know what happened. It almost doesn't even matter who his matchup gets. He's probably getting you 65 yards. But once we start talking 70 plus, now I really start to kind of like, okay, let me visualize the matchup. Like with Kyler Gordon, I didn't love it, so I try to stay away from it. You took him over 83. Yeah, I have no issue with that. I think that's a spot to jump on. That was like the 10 down, I think, over there. I don't have an issue with that. I did the same thing last week and ended up working out. He ended up hitting the standard over too. So either one, I don't have an issue with that, man. BetUS, though, shout out to them for that graphic. That thing is sick. I see y'all out there doing work, man. Happy Monday, Doug. I see you. Okay. I was so wrong on what JMO's number have come to be. What JMO's number has come to be? You mean like total season? Hey, he's almost at 1,000 yards. Like he's in position to do that. He could absolutely do that. I think today could be the day to get there. Today, well, I don't know if he'll get there today, but he could really get close to it today because we know we're going to see him next week. So I think he can close the gap big time today. I think with Yiadom starting, it changes a lot. And you know the weird thing is, so I actually have this graphic. Let's go to that right now. I'm looking at the chat. I missed a comment. There's a comment I was going to read, but I missed it. Also, let's go to the Niners inactives too. I want to show that on the screen just so we can all kind of see where they're at. Okay, let's go. I think they posted it on X over here. I know Schefter posted it. Schefter, okay, they did post it on X. See, why do y'all do it like that, man? Why do y'all make it a link? All right, this is my complaint, San Fran. What is this? Why do y'all do it like this? I don't know what this is. But anyways, okay, we'll just use it like this because, like, what are we doing? What, San Fran? What is this? Okay, Dre Greenlaw, yeah, that's understood. Spencer Burford, that's understood. That's their left tackle. Charvarius Ward's the big one. Outside of that, these were all kind of expected. Khalil Davis. Khalil Davis? Oh, that's actually an interesting one. Hold up, one second. Because now... So what this means, though, is this means Colton McKivitz is up. Their right tackle is going to play in this game. Isaac Werendo is up. He's going to play in this game. So their offensive line's, it's not in awful shape right now. You know, we're not going to see Aaron Banks. But Colton McKivitz, the center to right tackle is in the normal spots for this team. Okay, actually, no, I was thinking of someone else. My bad. I was thinking of someone else. They're fine. That was expected. Okay, so I was thinking of something else there. But yeah, that's the inactives for them. So the big one is Charvarius Ward again. Congratulations. He's having a kid. That's awesome. Congratulations. Who's the third wide receiver today? For us, man, I think wide receiver 3, production-wise. I mean, can I count Laporta? You know what I mean? If I can count Laporta, I'd throw Laporta in there. Honestly, Laporta might be wide receiver 2. He could be 1. I think he might be wide receiver 2 today. But yeah, if I go in production, I go Laporta. If I had to go to receiver, I'd always just bet Tim Patrick just because I think Tim Patrick's going to be an interesting matchup because I think they're kind of built to handle guys like Tim Patrick, but it's also kind of fighting fire with fire in the sense of like, I don't hate it. Like maybe he just goes and wins some of those contested situations because that's what San Francisco's built. Their cornerbacks are all long. They're all physical. They're all very handsy, right? They're all very handsy cornerbacks. I'd be telling the refs, I said in my preview, I'd be telling the refs pregame, like, yo, look for DPIs. Okay, look for those, especially with the Yiadom out there. Like, look for those. Let's go, keep grinding. I appreciate you, Nathan. Nathan, I appreciate you, man. That energy's real. I see you, Nathan. I had a bet on JMO because he only needs about 100 yards for a 1,000-yard season. There you go. I remember last year they tried getting Josh Reynolds one more TD. Ooh, okay, Uno. They did. Was that a TD or was that a yardstick? I don't know. It may have been both. But yeah, I do remember that. And I don't think he ended up getting it. Well, he got one of the two. I think there was like 2 or 3 incentives, and I know he got one of them. Off topic, worst head coach job, Saints or Jets. The worst one, I think it's... That's a tough one because I think the Jets is clear. You just move on from the quarterback and you just start over. The Saints are kind of a disaster. Like I don't think the Saints have much. I'd say worse is the Saints. I don't know what the Saints. You know what the Saints could though. You know if Aaron Glenn does go there because there is some buzz like that they're interested in him, which makes sense. If Aaron Glenn did go to the Saints, I could see him turning that team around and getting better play out of who's there. Kind of like what Harbaugh's done with the Chargers or even in Denver, like just taking a lot of similar players and making it better than what they actually like bringing a lot more life out of the talent that they actually do have. Because right now it doesn't look like they have any kind of like redeemable talent. The Jets, we know they do. They just don't have a quarterback. So I would say Saints are probably worse. But I could see a guy like Glenn like bringing some fire and just find a way to kind of pull that thing together a little bit. Just make it much more manageable. I'd be so interested to see what it's going to look like with Glenn as a head coach. Like, if he gets a job, like, how aggressive is Glenn going to be? Like, I got a sense of what his defenses are going to look like, and the Saints would fit that, but, like, how aggressive would he be offensively? What the heck would his offense look like? Like, I'd be so fired up to see what that's going to... Does it look kind of like us, or is he a heavy run team? Like, what is this? My vote is Saints. Their cast space is atrocious. It's a disaster. I'm ready for tonight's game. I see you, Dylan. Appreciate you being here. All right, I missed someone's comment. I missed a couple of these. My bad. Hello, Bobo. I see you, Bobo. Man-seated, Lions on the field. Same white unis as last year. Those are so clean. What is the Arnold is playing? That's a good look. Arnold's playing. He was on there with illness. Spy Brock Purdy. Wait, what is the... Okay, I don't know what it was. I'm going to have to find it again. My bad. I missed someone's comment. Is Maven starting on the other side of Campbell? I don't know. I would assume Ben Neiman's going to start, but I would look to play a lot of him. I would look to play a lot of Jalen in this game. I think he's a good I think he's our best matchup that we have for George Kittle. If we do play a lot of man, because that's what I expect, but my assumption would be that Ben Neiman starts as the starter, especially the injury that Jalen Reeves-Maybin's coming back from. It's not like Iffy's hand, like with what it is. My assumption would be that he's not the starter, but I would have no issue whatsoever if they gave him a ton of snaps in this game. I'd have no problem with it, and I think it's a good spot to utilize him a lot, but I think it'll probably be a lot of Ben Neiman. And I think we're going to see a lot of three safeties, essentially, and I'm counting Brian Branch as safety. I think we're going to see it a lot. I would like to see a little Mo Norris, too. I wouldn't have an issue with it, but I think he's going to be only on special teams. Who would we bring in as we bring in a DC or promote? I think we'd probably promote just because of where it's went to. I feel like if your defense like is in a rough spot, then you have to go higher outside. But for where we're at, I would think that they would just promote within if somebody wanted it because their defense is going the right direction. Like it's constantly went the right direction. So I think they'd probably try their best to be like, let's keep this thing going the way that it's going. So my guess would be that they would just promote from inside. If he's active tonight, okay. I wouldn't have an issue with that either. Yeah, yeah, that's true too. Yeah, they got his kids making draft picks. Yeah, that's, man, it's kind of like the Cowboys thing. I don't know, bro. It's a disaster. I don't know. Like, I think the faster turnaround would be the Saints. But, like, the long-term outlook, I think someone could get more hype about the Jets. Like, man, we got something here. We just needed this and we need a little that. But I think, like, the team that could, like, go to playoffs faster, I would bet on the Saints. They have enough pieces to, I think, that they could get to the playoffs. They could get there relatively quickly with just a good coach. And we'll see what that'll look like if Aaron Glenn does that. Okay, let's go to my matchups here. I got a list of matchups to watch. I put 5 matchups. We usually don't do this. We just go players to watch. But I wanted to change it up a little bit this week. And it came in my mind because I saw that article of Jack Campbell versus George Kittle. And I was like, okay, I don't love that. But it made me think like, yo, we should do a matchup kind of thing. So we're going to do a matchup graphic here. It's not pretty. There is a 49ers logo on it, though. So there's that. All right, that looks okay. You know what I mean? It looks okay. Here we go. Let's present that. Bam. Aaron Glenn talks up Kelvin Shepherd. That feels like it would be him. I don't know who else it would be. I'd be kind of surprised he went right to the defensive line coach. I guess they could. But yeah, Shepherd would make sense. He's been here just so long. Okay, matchups to watch. Here we go. These are my matchups to watch. Throw your matchups in the chat. This is what I like in this one. If Young Kittle sounds better, I assume he's going. That's who I think will be in that spot. The issue with that is it makes your defense a little bit predictable. Like if I just put my safety down in the box and just like, hey, he's matched up, then you kind of know we're playing. But I don't think that's the worst. I don't think this is a bad game for that. I think it's okay to be a little more predictable. Be like, yo, we're playing cover 1 or we're playing cover 3. Like we're gonna be a little more straightforward with this team. We're funneling the middle of the field. Beat us on the numbers. Like I think it's going to be a little bit more of a straightforward approach for the Lions, so I don't think it's a problem to do that. The issue with the Niners is they'll put you in tough spots, But here's the issue with the Niners to me is they put you in tough spots because they don't go out like a normal offense. Like the Niners will put you. This is why I'm almost surprised. I understand where the number is where it is. Like it's like Lions -3.5 still. It got the 4 at one point, but maybe that's because they believe the Lions will pull back. I think it's because the Niners are a tough team to match up with. Like, and even think of some of the games that they lost. Like they're usually competitive in every game. It's just they do some dumb stuff at the end and they don't win the football game. Their defense's secondary is one of the best in football, but the offense, the one thing that makes their offense tricky, in my opinion, because I don't think they have the best weapons right now, obviously Debo's great, is they don't come out in normal sets. So it's hard to match up with them. Like if I put Iffy down and I said, okay, you take away Kittle, but then they put Debo at running back and they don't have a running back on the field. Like a lot of teams don't do that. They'll just go out there without a running back. You know what I mean? They can put one tight end, they'll put Debo at running back, and then they'll put Pearsall, they'll put Juwan Jennings, they'll put like a variety of different receivers out there, and then you match up with it. You're like, okay, wait a minute, how do we match up with this? You know what I mean? So that's, and they'll run Debo like running back, or Kyle Juszczyk, they'll run him like a running back. So they put you in some weird spots, I think just because they play some of the goofiest personnel. No problem, it's smart. They just have a lot more variety than most teams do. And I haven't seen a team like that. Like from play to play, it was like, okay, this is super unique. There's even times it was like hard to track it. I was like, wait a minute, what are they going to here? I was like trying to like really figure out who the player was. They got that kind of offense going on. So to me, that's the trickiest thing, but I am with you. Iffy on George, much better than Jack on George. I would stay away from that. I did put Jack Campbell in there because I'm sure it's just going to happen. It's just going to happen because it's the game and that's what they're going to be looking for if they're smart. But I would try to stay away from that. If I'm playing man, he's going to be my zone player. I'm going to play a lot of rat coverage, or I'm going to blitz the guy. Now, that being said, so that's the first one. It's a huge one, of course. We'll start with that. Is that where Maben comes in? Yes, I believe so. I think you play Maben a lot. I would have Maben a lot of times the guy that can match up with back or tight end. Even if that's their number 2 tight end. Like, that's Kyle Juszczyk. Like, that's where I would use Maben. I think Maben has a case that he's the best matchup piece. I don't think he's better than Alex Anzalone. When Alex is right, like, Alex is a dog in coverage, and we've seen that. But without Alex, he is, to me, clearly the best matchup piece that we have of a pure linebacker. Like, we have guys that can play both. You know, Jamal Adams can step down and do some things. Maybe Jamal Adams gets in the mix a little bit. They can do some things like that. But Jalen Reeves-Maben, to me, has proven like he's, like, the best of what we have. So I'd roll a lot of Jalen Reeves-Maben. Plus, this is a good warm-up game. Like, get Jalen going a little bit. We're going to see him in red zone spots. We're going to use him for the playoffs. It's a good spot to use him. And if Jalen can kind of solidify that a little bit, it's really nice because Ben Neiman showed last week. Like, we think about what Ben did last week. Ben showed like he's a really good run defender from off ball. He's very comfortable there. He's very consistent. Now, Quan's back on the practice squad. But Ben's weakness is more man coverage. Even though he's pretty sound in his zone, it's a little bit more of like being able to match up with guys. And we really didn't have that. Quan wasn't a great matchup guy. David Long wasn't a great matchup guy. I don't even think Ezekiel Turner's great there. Jalen's pretty good there. So if Jalen comes out and plays well and you're able to trust him in those spots, you have at least a nice little 1-2 between two guys that bring something different to the table. The issue is that they don't do it at the same time, always. I mean, they don't usually typically are both great in both areas, but at least you have both, so you can get to both options. So this is a great game to, I think, utilize him. But that being said, so next up for me would be Nick Bosa versus Sewell or Decker. I think a lot of times it's going to be Penei Sewell. This is more so for the run game. I would just stay away from him. I'd just run away from him. I'd run at Floyd. I'd run at everybody that's not Nick Bosa. I'd keep it pretty straightforward. I'm not running at that guy. But that'll just be a matchup in general. That's really where their pressure comes from. I don't think they have a ton of pressure pieces. They got some guys that can win. They don't blitz a lot. So to me, it's like, okay, I think they'll blitz more against us than they typically do, but they're not a huge blitzing team. So I think Nick Bosa's pretty clear-cut here. He's the guy. What is up with Broderick Martin? Can't crack the lineup. Yeah, like, again, my quick take on it is I think it's right now, it's, hey, look, man, we're going to the playoffs. DJ Reader's available. And right now, when you're talking about a role that's potentially 10 to 20 snaps at most, Chris Smith is the more consistent option in that role. Plus, he gives us a little bit more flexibility than Broderick. Broderick's going to play nose. Broderick's not kicking out wide. He's playing nose tackle. Even when he can, but it's not always great. So there's that. Broderick Martin was also valuable when he played a lot of snaps. Like, he was built to, I think, handle more of that. I don't think Chris Smith is built to do that. But if DJ Reader's available and he can be clearly the number 2 and just be the guy that can take some snaps off of him, I think he's probably more consistent. You know what you're going to get, right? You're not going to get elite play. You're not going to get blown away, but you're going to get a little bit more consistency there. I think from a snap in, snap out kind of perspective. And I think that's all the Lions are looking for is just consistency. They know that he's not going to get a ton of snaps. They just want a consistent piece when he plays 10 to 15 snaps. Like, just let me know what I'm going to get. I think right now, Broderick has many good snaps he had in that Green Bay game. He also had some atrocious snaps. And I think for the Lions, it's pretty straightforward. They just want consistency. And when we're hitting the playoffs, That's what it's about, because DJ Ritter is available. Now, if we went into a game without that, then yeah, I think you go back to Martin. But at this point, like, yo, it's playoff time. I just want to know what I'm getting when I put you out there. And I think that's where it's at right now. And look, I think he's earned that. I think Chris Smith has earned a little bit, at least another look, and that could continue to change. I think as of now, he's earned another look because we don't really have another clear-cut option there. And Chris Smith has always played okay, I think, so far this season. Bosa versus Sewell, I thought they were playing in the Rose Bowl. Hey. I thought this, you know what's crazy? I see a like. Someone liked it on Facebook. I see you. I thought this thing was going to be home again. I didn't know they were going neutral already. That threw me off. Threw me way off. Revenge toward target is dialed in. Y'all like that? I put revenge game. I thought that sounded clean. You're sure they'll blitz? We picked them up pretty well. And Goff getting better, moving in the pocket. They're just going to lose time. So here's what so they're not a heavy blitzing team. Here's where I think they'll blitz. I think they're going to blitz a little bit more on early downs. Again, they do it second least in football. They may not. My assumption would be this is a heavy cover 3 team on first down. If the Lions are out there picking apart a cover 3 defense and we force them to kind of spill out of that, I think that they're going to come out. I think they're going to be more aggressive, not sitting too deep. I think that it's been a really bad combination for teams this year to not be able to create a lot of pressure and then also not blitz. I think that's been a terrible combination against the Lions most of the time, because Goff does such a good job on play action. We're going to lean into that. I think it's going to be pretty straightforward. I think they're going to simplify the heck out of this on offense. I don't think there's going to be a ton of crazy tricks. We're going to run the heck out of the football, and we're going to try to be efficient passing the ball, because they're strong in the secondary. But their issue is they don't create any pressure. They're not creating much pressure, and they're not blitzing much. I think it's a bad idea that if you're getting beat one-on-one because you're sitting in cover 3, if you're getting beat on the outside without Charvarius Ward, and then you're like, yo, I'm going to go 2 deep safeties, we're going to go quarters like they sometimes get to, or they'll get to like cover 6, and then just be like, hey, we're not going to blitz. I think that's a bad strategy for the opponent, because now you're just letting Goff have time with 2 deep safeties and everything underneath is more open. Middle of the field opens up a little bit. Like, yo, I would stay away from that, because that's the one thing that, to me, San Francisco does that makes their secondary so tough. They do a couple things. They're really well-rounded, number one. They don't have a huge weakness back in. Even Isaac Yiadom's been pretty good for them this season when he steps in today. But to me, what they also do well is they take away the middle of the field with some of the best defenses in football. Like Fred Warner is excellent in coverage, right? You know, we all know that. He's excellent. Hufanga's excellent in coverage when he steps in. And they got a little safety flexibility. Brown, they got Mustafa. Like, they got some safety flexibility. Even without Dre Greenlaw, though, D. Winters is a very good coverage backer. They do a great job, I think, just plastering everything over the middle of the field. It makes it really difficult. But as soon as you start to pull them into coverages where that becomes a little bit of like, oh, there's some openings here, I think that's where they have to blitz. Because if they give us time to find those, I think they're going to be picked apart, and that's the game they have to stay out of. I think they know their approach is going to be maybe similar to ours, like, yo, can't let that become the game, and we have to stop the run. And the Lions would be like, we're going to run the football. So we'll see how it plays out. But that's my second matchup. I could be wrong on that, by the way. That's just how I'm looking at it. Thirdly, Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, this is kind of a goofy one, I'm going to be honest. I put Gibbs versus Hufanga and Warner. I didn't love this one. You know what I mean? I didn't love that. Here's my thing, okay? I think that the tight ends, the receiver battles are fun. You know, when you talk about, like, San Francisco, their receivers block well. I want to see how Lions handle that defensively, but I always trust them in those spots, so I'm just going to say that again. And then on the flip side, I think it's important, too, like how well the Lions tight ends blocking, because they've typically done that well. I like fast motion. Miami used it really well. They used a lot of motion pre-snap, lead blockers. They ran block really well. And if you can connect with those second-level linebackers, your run game's there. If you can't, your run game's not there. It's almost like, to me, a little bit of the flip side of Chicago. Chicago's like one of those teams where I'm like, yeah, we can get up to their backers. We're going to have success. San Fran's a little bit like, okay, you have to get to their backers, because if you don't, they'll shut the thing down, and there's just nothing there. They're that good at linebacker. Well, specifically Fred Warner. So, and their safeties are awesome when they step in to play the run. So I'm putting Jahmyr Gibbs there just because I want to see him make a miss. Like, yo, if we get Hufanga is not special. He's not special, but I think you can put any safety in here. It's just when they get to those spots where they start throwing a safety in the box, because I could see them doing that early, just like, yo, we're not letting you run on us, and he just gets a one-on-one. I just want to see him make a miss. That's it. I just want to see, like, hey, just go a little bit beyond a few times, Gibbs. You were the first-round pick for that reason. Go make a couple guys miss. Give us a little bit more than what's expected on a few of these plays. And I think if he does that, they won't have a great answer for us. And then I have Jameson Williams versus Isaac Yiadom. This would have been Renardo Green. I expect Renardo Green probably going to see a lot of St. Brown if he's out wide, but this is going to depend on how the Lions approach it. I think without him, I still like the idea of 2 receivers a lot. Because then at that point, I get Isaac Yadam out wide. I get Renardo Green out wide. And I think if Saint gets Yadam, excuse me, I think if Saint gets Renardo Green, I think that's an interesting matchup, but I'd feel pretty good about Saint still in that spot. And then Yadam versus Jameson, I expect Jamo to have a couple big plays there and really be able to change the game. But then you go to 3 receivers, you get Lenore on the field, who's still really good in coverage. I don't think it changes a ton there. And then I don't think Tim Patrick is like the best matchup for either of those two guys. So I still think I like the same kind of approach. I just feel like their cornerback position changes everything. I just don't think they're the same when they don't have the cornerback position where it is. I mean, it's a top secondary in football. It's the one thing that I think they'd be able to hang their hat on. And then finally, the battle we're all here to watch, Jake Bates versus Jake Moody. Yeah, they're both Jakes. Jake versus Jake. I should put Jake versus Jake on there. Hey, how do the kickers do, man? Because that's one thing that's killed San Fran. They missed some easy field goals, and we've had a couple misses. I think we got 3 on the year for Jake Bates. Who kicks better? You know, last time we played this team in San Fran, it was conference championship. Lions decided to pass up on a couple field goals. That may change today, but that could be the difference, man. 3 points could that could be the difference if it's low scoring. So I want to, the kicker battle. Give me the kicker battle. This is also great. I would love to see Bates go make a long field goal on the road in this game. I'd love to see it. I think it'd be great to just kind of put that in the back of your mind, like, okay, he did that. He did. That's great. Because last time we didn't even put our guy out there. We see you. Go make a 49-yarder, Jake Bates. 48-yard. I'll give you 40. Go make a 48-yard field goal on the road today. I feel really good about that. Make me feel really good. Okay, so there's your matchups to watch. That's my matchups to watch. Chat, I see y'all. Y'all were dropping in. I saw a couple matchups in there. I didn't see a ton, to be honest. I saw a few. You say a couple matchups. I see you. Apparently, Warner's been playing on a broken toe. That's ridiculous. That's insane. I didn't know that. That's crazy. That would be sick to have Mosley out there. That would be fire. That'd be fire to finally see Mosley. I'd like to see it. Hey, maybe if we get up enough, maybe we get him in the game. You know what I mean? Hopefully we do. I think there's a path to run away with this game. My bad. I think there's a path to run away with this one. I'm just never super confident on picking the Lions to blow a team out because it doesn't happen much in the NFL except for the Lions do it. I don't think the Niners are that bad of a team. I don't think they're a great team, but I think the spread is reasonable, 3.5. I think I jump on that because I think the Lions will cover that. But I'm never super confident predicting a blowout. I do think, though, with the cornerback position, there's a chance the Lions can jump at like 30 points. I think we can hit 30 points, and I'd be surprised if the Niners put up a ton of points. I think they're tough offensively, and everything is about Brock Purdy is an excellent scrambling quarterback. He's really good off script. That's going to be tested again in this game. It's what killed us last time we played San Fran. But how consistent can you be there? And I just feel like if the Lions do score early, if they get out to a lead, I think that consistency is going to dry out quickly, and the Lions could run away with this thing. I think there's a very reasonable path to take the Lions by 3 scores. But I'm not going to go there just because I'm never super confident predicting us to beat a team by 3 touchdowns. It just doesn't happen enough. So instead, today, my score prediction was 24-13. I'm rolling 24-13. No, actually, take that back. I had 23-14. My bad, I said it wrong. I was like, that doesn't sound right. 23-14 is what my score was. A missed field goal from Jake Moody, and that might be the difference. A couple field goals for Jake Bates makes you feel good. 23-14 Lions. A comfy win. A comfy win. The problem with that is, though, they probably won't be able to take their starters out. Unless it's like 24-6. Wait, hold up. 23-7. My bad. English. Hey, if it's like 23-7, then maybe they could put some backups in. I don't know, man. I don't know. Question, you think Crosby is up for grabs in the offseason? Is he up for grabs? Is his contract up? I don't even know. Honestly, I don't know his contract situation. If is he a free agent? Or are you just saying that like as a trade possibility? I would say that I'd be surprised if the Lions acquired Max Crosby at any point unless he became a free agent. I'm never opposed to it. I love watching a dude play. I'd just be surprised. But I'm also, I'd say the interesting thing about that is Zadarius Smith. Like, keep your eyes on Zadarius Smith because he is under contract. We could have Zadarius Smith back again. I love the combination of him and Hutchinson on paper. Let him go crazy in the playoffs and let's have Zadarius Smith coming back next season. You know what I mean? Like, let's let that be a thing. And then I think you hit the draft and you draft another edge at some point, and boom. I draft like a Barnes type. I draft like a Sam Backer, and I'd be like, hey, now we got a little rotation going on here. With Josh Pascal still, maybe Levi. Does Levi get extended? Hey, by the way, Levi, like this has been, it's been a couple weeks like this. Levi did some good against the Bears. Let's see that train continue to roll. right? Because Levi, I mean, we had there was a lot of hype around Levi when we drafted this dude. I mean, Baby Donald was legitimately a talking point. Hey, Levi, let's go cook, okay? Like, let's awesome. Let's go be awesome. You know what I mean? Like, let's go have a monster game. Why not today? Why not? I mean, I don't see why. Look, their left guard position, Nick, the dude's last name I can't say, out of was it Old Dominion? Not great. He's the tackle to guard. You can beat that guy. You know, the left tackle is completely depleted. Is it Charlie Heck today? And then you get to the interior. It's like, okay, Jake Brendel. Yeah, he's all right. Dominic Pooney hasn't been great this season. Levi, let's cook. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm looking at. Like, Levi, go to work. You know, make a couple monster plays in this game. This is a game where Levi could break out. Levi breaks out this game. We get that rolling into the playoffs. And him and DJ Reed are next to each other. You feel really good about that. I think Pat O'Connor could do some work, but their offensive line's athletic too. Let Levi bully some dudes a couple times. That's where I'm at with him. I want to see him go bully a couple dudes because he's got the strength to do that. Like, Pat O'Connor's to be quick and that kind of thing. And maybe he gets these linemen a few times, but that's kind of who they are too. I want to see him just go, like, push somebody around, run somebody over today. You know, like, just not get moved at all. And it's like, oh, snap, he created a dang wall there. That's where I'm at with it. I think Levi's got to cook, and I think this is a game for Levi to cook. You know, not just have like, oh, all right, there was a couple good plays. I see you, Levi. No, I want to see you go crazy, Levi. Take something over. Today could be the day. It could be. I don't see why not to extend Levi or Iffy. They both be on the cheaper side. Yeah, if they're on the cheaper side, I'm with it. I think Levi's going to be the interesting one because I think Iffy could be the top market safety, but I don't know with the injury. Safety's so weird. It just depends on what the team's looking for. He doesn't really have the production or playing time, so he might be cheap. I could see, though, him being the best safety available. But the Levi one, I don't know about the Levi one. Because I think in Levi, if you just took Levi's done this season, and then you just said, okay, that's who he is, I think he'd have a pretty nice market. Because he's flexible. He's actually had a pretty good season. He's had, almost 40 pressures already this year. Like, he's had a pretty good year. I think people will buy into picking up Levi after this season. So I think he'll be more expensive. But, hey, if you want to be brought back, go cook today. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at. Like, we need one of these games where you look crazy. You remember when Lee McNeil did to the Giants? He had like 9 pressures, and it was like, oh snap, Lee McNeil's crazy. He's capable of that. Levi, this is today. Okay, today. How are you? I'm good, Ryan. I'm genuinely scared for next week. Don't be scared, dog. Don't be scared, dog. You know, I would have liked to lock it up this week. I'm a little bit disappointed. I'm actually very disappointed. Green Bay, they look terrible. I was more frustrated because man, Green Bay's garbage, dog. Tired of hearing about this dang team, man. Oh, Green Bay's cooking. Green Bay's hitting on all cylinders. They just get out there and get waxed, dog. Yeah, they made it close to the end. They were getting smacked. Yeah, let's keep it real, bro. That thing was 27-10. Look like the first time he played Minnesota. He's out there getting ran, dude. So, like, for me, I'm watching that. Like, I'm upset because I wanted Green Bay to win. But then I'm also just like, yeah, the offside, yo, that is true. That is true. And I understood Matt LaFleur was fired up. I think the Vikings maybe had some goofy penalties. Honestly, I missed some of the second quarter. I missed a little bit of second quarter, but I think they may have said some bad penalties to like set them up a little bit. But bro, they look terrible, dog. And then you knew from jump it was going to be bad. When Josh Jacobs fumbled, like they were running the football well, I felt like on Minnesota. Like even, I don't know what the numbers played out as, but it felt like there was like, okay, they can run the ball. And then when he fumbled, it was like, yo, you can't leave points out there. Like you knew immediately. I thought immediately like, oh, they just played themselves. They just left points on the field against Minnesota. You can't make that up. And then they didn't make it up. So to me, it's just, no, man. It frustrated me. But it's like, yo, I just don't want to hear about that team no more, man. But go beat a good team. We can talk. They just don't do it. They don't beat any good teams. They're going to make the playoffs as a wild card. That's who they are. They're a wild card team. But anyways, all right. We hit on our matchups. Where are we at time-wise? Okay, we got about 15 until the game. So I'm going to drop the new link. Chat, get your score predictions in. I'm going to drop the new link in here. That way y'all can just pick it up and jump over there for the live show. Let me share it. Yeah, no, I know. See, and I even thought to myself, like, I'm not going to wear my Green Bay Packers suck shirt. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to root for them. They're garbage. They do suck, man. I should have worn the shirt. They're terrible. Team's garbage. But no, it does set up for a pretty fire game. And honestly, like, home or on the road, I feel good about it anywhere. You know what I mean? Wherever they got to play. But it's great that it's at home. It's pretty awesome that we get the division game at home. Play the game on slow-mo to avoid the bots. Oh, you mean the chat? Okay, that's a good look. See, we usually don't have that issue, but we have had that a couple times now. Okay, see, I didn't know that. That's a good look. Maybe I can Maybe I could do that that actually helped me out. I might do that for the live stream. But that's the chat. Well, if y'all can see, that's the new. They're only good at that. And then as we heard, right? Hey, golf small hands, man, and they're out there fumbling the football. It's like, bro, y'all look like you never played outside. You know what I mean? Like, Packers, they're terrible this year, man. That's so, yeah. They weren't ready for it, man. They weren't ready for the game because they're out there fumbling. You can't leave points on the board, man. That game was too big for that. Can't play good teams like that. That's what I'm saying. But you know what the thing is? They'll probably win their first playoff game because they're going to be playing a team that's not that great. They're not going to match up, but they'll play Tampa Bay or the Rams, and they'll probably beat them. They'll probably beat them because those teams aren't great either. Okay, all right, we're going to move over to the other one, man. We're going to be live over there. Click that link. Join us over there. Shout out to BetUS, YouTube 150. That's the code for your 150% deposit match. First deposit, 125% next to up to $2,000. We're going to move over there. Shout out to everybody joining us live here. If you're still looking for like another preview, I did drop the video on Sunday. Was it Sunday? But you got about 15 minutes till kickoff, so maybe don't watch that. Maybe just watch the second half. I don't know. But yeah, we're gonna move over there. I'll see y'all over there in a sec. And yeah, I think we're good. All right, we're out.